Well, good morning, everybody. We're reading through Jeremiah chapters 4, 5, and 6 this morning. And there's one line that stood out for me, and it conveyed the idea that the Yahweh wanted to bless the nation. He wanted to bless his people. But the rebellion turned those blessings away. The rebellion made it impossible for him to bless. And so often as we read through the Old Testament, we see the results. We see what Yahweh has had to do to bring correction. And he almost looks vengeful, angry. As we read through this, it's if you don't understand the root of it, if you don't investigate it, you don't understand that he's actually demonstrated great patience with this nation. This was a nation that he grew. He chose it. He chose Abraham. And from Abraham, he grew this nation. And the whole purpose of this nation was that this would be his people. A nation of priests is what his first intention was. And they would be the priests to the world, representing him. And he would reveal himself to the world through them. And he would bless them and prosper them and show what it is to be in a right relationship with him. This was the whole intention. But they became conceited, self-centered, arrogant. They decided they wanted to be like other nations. They ran after other gods. They abandoned him. And century after century, generation after generation, he was patient. He was patient. He had told them before he even gave them the land, he said, listen, you guys, like, this is a covenant that we have. This is what I'm going to do for you. Obedience is your end of the covenant. And it's easy to obey because of the great blessings I'm going to bring to you. Let's just stay in this relationship together. But if you don't, then I'm going to take the land from you because I'm lending it to you. And it was supposed to be one thing, just one thing. They step out of line just once. They break that covenant just once, and he would remove them from the land. But he showed such patience again and again and again, century after century, generation after generation. He sent his prophets. He called to them. He begged them to return. He gave them greater promises, and because he didn't want to do this. It wasn't his heart to do this. His heart was to bless. That's the whole thing. His heart is to bless. And any of us who are parents can understand that. Our desire is to have a house of peace and a house of joy. We want people to be happy. We want there to be laughter. We want there to be just life, just enjoyable, wonderful life. But disobedience, rebellion, going against the rules of the house, which are in place to allow a bunch of people to live well together, rules that are based on fairness, justice, that are based on honor and respect. These are all things to just make that house flow, that make everything flow. And so then you get one person who kicks against that, and they put their themselves above everybody else. So they become very focused on themselves and what they want, and they don't care about the needs of anybody else. It's just what they want. And you know what a disruption that is to the house. You know what it's like when one person in the group kicks against everybody else, and it's a terrible feeling. And so as a parent, you need to bring in correction so that people would understand how important this is. It's we have this illusion that we can control our children or we can control people, and we can't. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We can't control anybody except ourselves. So when people decide to be rebellious, we can bring correction. But it's still their choice. And that's what we find here with Israel. Even though the Lord was bringing them correction, it was still their choice. And they chose to rebel. They chose. And so he wasn't able to bless them. And his desire for us is still obedience that is empowered by love. It's love that empowers us to obey, because that love puts us in a position of trust. And that's where he wants to be with us. He wants to be in that position of trust with us. When we trust him, we follow his heart, follow his plans, we follow his way of doing things because we trust him and we trust that it is the best way. So we have no desire to work against him. And because of that obedience, then everything is able to flow the way it's supposed to flow. So that's my thought for the day. You guys be blessed indeed, and let's continue to learn what it is to walk in the Spirit and to cooperate with our God. God bless.